see you. I hope you're doing amazing. I can't believe we're all officially like in our spot. As you can see, this is my dorm. I'll probably be giving you a tour of it later because it's pretty freaking sweet. And while you hooked me up this year, Edie, I am so sorry about what happened. I don't mean to laugh, but like it's pretty funny. Anyway, you two are always asking me for poetry recommendations, which I think is awesome. A, that you think I know literally anything about anything. Sometimes it feels like I don't. And B, I think it's awesome that you're asking me about poetry, because I do actually love poetry. I actually got into poetry because it was this required lit section. I wasn't a really big fan of it, and I just thought it was something that like weird people did, trying to be cool and hipster. I really just didn't understand poetry, and I wasn't really open to it at first. But I think what's really, really important is A, staying open, and B, letting it happen. So we start this project, I get cummings, and I'm like, oh great, another dead old white guy, right? Like, last thing I need. But I start looking into him. There was, I think, one poem that I was required to read from him, and the rest was all pretty biographical. But I loved this one poem so much. I kind of fell in love with it. I ended up reading the entire book that the poem came from, and that's kind of when, like, my love affair for poetry kind of happened. After that, I started looking online, and I started finding a lot of written poems, but it was really difficult for me. I wanted to get into more recent poems, and so I started looking on YouTube, and I actually found a ton of slam poems. It kind of opened my eyes to this whole new world. Okay, sorry, I had to. It opened my eyes to this whole universe of poems and poetry, and being able to express yourself in this way. I mean, poems to me are kind of the perfect embodiment of form and content. It's taking your ideas and putting it on a sheet of paper, or maybe reading it. I think it's the pinnacle of communication. There, I said it. So anyway, I realized how amazing it was, and I started looking into people like Charles Bukowski, and I started looking into, you know, I went back to Cummings, I read a lot of him, I read Jack Kerouac, Thrown in the Girls, Sylvia Plath, and Sexton, my Angelou, I mean, a ton of people who really, really inspire me still to this day, and I'm really happy that I've had those kinds of opportunities. I think my favorite part of poetry is how skewed it is. I know that sounds kind of weird, but the idea of like the dishonest narrator is always there in poetry, and it's always this idea of, even if it's a third person point of view, a poem skews the way you look at things, and it makes you think about things in a new way, from a different perspective. It's just amazing. So I do have some recommendations. I just finished On Love by Charles Bukowski, would definitely recommend that. If you're looking for something a little bit weirder, I would maybe go to Scattered Poems by Jack Kerouac. If you're looking for something a little bit more traditional, I might check out like Coolridge or something like that. Check it out. But if you're looking for slam poems, which I think I'm going to focus on right now, there's a couple specific videos I totally want you to watch. First is the wolf sex poem. I think it's a really good one to start out with too, because I think it perfectly blends this mix of a funnier kind of poem that can be a little bit silly with this concreteness and really beautiful poetry. I think it's amazing. It's a little bit longer of a video, but stick through it. It's amazing. The next one I want to mention is Born to Embody It. It's amazing. I had a poetry reading competition. I did speech and debate in high school. It was great. I loved it. Everyone should do it. I did a poetry reading of Born to Embody It, and not saying that it was because it's an amazing poem or because I'm an amazing speaker, but I won first. So it also, I think it's just beautiful. Next is Sisyphus. The way that he intertwines stories is absolutely amazing. It's gorgeous. It's just, you can't not feel an emotion when you read this poem or hear it read, and you should watch the video because he really does such a beautiful job reading it, and he has a fantastic voice. Next is How It Ends by Andrea Gibson. Andrea Gibson, one of my favorite poets. I actually totally and completely cried when I saw this poem. Amazing. Love it. Next are two poets that you totally need to check out literally any of their stuff. It's Carrie Rudzinski and it's Rudy Fransisco. I think their poetry is amazing, and it inspires me literally every day. Basically, before I go to write a poem, I'll like pull them up in the background, watch them for a little bit, and then I'll write my poem, because they get the creative juices flowing. It's so amazing. Anyway, I hope you both have amazing weeks. Edie, I hope your second week of college goes so much better than your first week did. I hope you're both having an amazing time. I miss you so much.
I